Nicaragua's general elections are underway. More than 4 million Nicaraguans are called to the polls this Sunday. In Spain, more than 1,000 people took to the streets of Barcelona to protest against rising electricity prices. And the United States deployed a military convoy of at least 26 vehicles loaded with arms in an illegally occupied base in Syria. From the headquarters of TeleSUR English in Havana, Cuba, this is From the South. I'm your host, Gladys Quesada. This Sunday, November the 7th, Nicaragua sees general elections. In order to have more details on the matter, and given the importance of this day, we welcome Manuel Espinosa, Director of the Regional Center for International Studies. Be welcome, Manuel.
Thank you very much. Here we are.
So now we will have a first question for you. Just like Venezuela a few years back and Cuba last July, Nicaragua and also its Sandinista government have suffered internal attacks, both violent with opposition groups igniting turmoil or the sanctions and policies that seek to destabilize the nation. Can we expect something alike if the Sandinismo wins this November 7th?
Well, you know, as a matter of fact, yes, we have to expect this because for decades we are fighting with the United States intervention policy. Now, again, the United States is trying to sabotage Nicaragua's elections once again, and by experience, we know that they will always try to apply this kind of tactics of strategic regimes and so on. They won't stop.
Yeah, so Manuel, we have another question for you. Recently, Ben Norton, who is in Nicaragua, he's a collaborator of us, tweeted about Steve Sweeney, an anti-imperialist British journalist who was being held in Mexico to prevent him from covering the Nicaraguan elections. Also, the censorship of several Nicaragua's institutions and officials in Twitter and YouTube accounts has happened recently. So what we can expect today and in the upcoming days from the media war on Nicaragua?
You know, the elections are being held in a pacific way. Everyone is going to vote to have this right, and of course, United States media won't say that. They will say all the contrary, and that's why we have invited a lot of observers to Nicaragua, and we don't expect any kind of change in the media conduct of the United States media. They will always try to criticize the process, and no matter if we are telling the truth, they have their opinion, their policy, their tactics, and we believe they won't change. But this cannot stop us because this is our right, this is our struggle for freedom, for sovereignty, and this is not the first time that we deal with this kind of policy of aggression. And the people is voting. No matter what they say now, no matter what they will say tomorrow, and so on. We know we are making our right come true.
Yeah, we have seen the images of the people voting and going to the polls, even in family, even in a festive way, because this is a nice and happy day for the Nicaraguan people. But we have to do another question to you. So, last but not least, given the strong presence of progressive governments like Cuba and Venezuela, and left-guided forces like Peru and Bolivia, but also the coexistence with right-wing governments like Bolsonaro's in Brazil or Duque's in Colombia, how can these elections define Latin America's political landscape?
Well, Nicaragua now is a good example of democracy, a new kind of democracy, where people really choose their candidates. These are our candidates, nor the White House candidates. As you said, in the morning, we have already voted. This is my finger. I have already voted. But I, as my family did, voted for our candidate. No, what the White House is telling us not to vote or for whom we have to vote. Now in Central America, there is a good situation, a political situation in El Salvador also, in Honduras also. They are coming to realize that we have to change this kind of mentality, aggressive. They consider us as the backyard, you say. And in a lot of countries in South America, like in Ecuador, Bolivia, Venezuela, in the Caribbean, Cuba, are realizing that this kind of manipulation, that political intervention must be changed one for all. And we, Nicaraguan people, are again making in a hard way, because it's very hard, it's a strong struggle against imperialism, but at the end, we always win.
So we thank you, Manuel, for your participation here from the South, your presence in TeleSUR English, and also we hope have your opinion and your criteria in upcoming briefcasts. So we'll be right back after this very short break, so don't go away.
It is our duty to reverse the damage we cause to the planet. Let's recover our natural ecosystems with actions in defense of the environment. Let's keep fighting for a greener world. Wednesdays, only on TeleSUR.
Welcome back to From the South. More than 1,000 people took to the streets of Barcelona to protest against rising electricity prices in Spain. Over 100 groups, activists and trade unions, including the Alliance Against Energy Poverty, participated in the mobilization. The protest started at Palca de la Universidad and went down Via Laietana, demonstrating against last month's electricity prices, which broke several times the highest historical price, making it the most expensive month ever. People of all ages came out to criticize energy bills, which are up 44% on last year, saying it is an abuse on the part of the market controlled by large companies such as Endesa. Organizers claimed that between 10% and 15% of the population are living in energy poverty and called for structural reform to reduce electricity prices, especially as winter approaches.
There should be control over the prices. We can't allow basic service to be in the hands of capitalism. There should be more control from the government.
We are talking about basic needs. We need electricity for hygiene and nutrition, and it's incredible that the monopolies of the energy companies should have this kind of control over the prices.
And we'll remain on topic. Gas flows through the Yamal Europe pipeline westbound into Germany have stopped again and are flowing in the opposite direction back towards Russia. The reversal of flows through one of the three main pipelines that carry Russian gas to Western Europe occurs for the second time in a few days. Last week, European gas futures rose as much as 23% due to the disruption of the flows. The latest situation came amid accusations from some regional politicians that the Kremlin is allegedly restraining supplies in order to pressure Germany and the European Union to approve the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, which is currently under licensing in that country. Russia has denied this and promised additions to the West from November 8th. Trade union members from Poland's energy sector protested outside the European Union's office in Warsaw on Saturday, blaming the EU's moves to discourage coal use for soaring energy prices. Some 200 power plant and coal mine workers from across Poland blew horns and waved union flags as they chanted. Their campaign slogan was "Yes to Poland's energy sovereignty, no to high energy and heating prices." Trade union leaders say the EU's energy policies will harm Poland's economy. The coal industry is a major employer in Poland, which gets more than half of its electricity from black and brown coal. A government energy policy plan calls for increasing reliance on nuclear energy once the infrastructure is built. Like other EU member nations, Poland has pledged to phase out coal use and develop wind, solar and other renewable energy sources. At the UN Climate Summit in Glasgow this week, the government said it will not be able to close all coal-fired plants until 2049, a target that disappointed activists.
A much more important issue concerns CO2 emissions trading. Today, a wave of increases is sweeping through the whole of Europe, not only Poland but all European Union countries. This is what Timmermans and the whole team at the European Commission are responsible for. They are the ones responsible for the rise in energy prices, for the rise in electricity prices, and for the rise in prices of products and services. It is Timmermans and his team.
The United States deployed a military convoy of at least 26 vehicles loaded with arms in the illegally occupied base of Al-Tanf, southeast Syria. Local media informed that the deployment of the convoy on Friday is considered the biggest of the past years, the 26 vehicles being supplied with ammunition, weapons and logistics stock. The increase of U.S. military presence in the Al-Tanf base near the Syrian border with Jordan is constantly denounced by Damascus as an illegal appropriation of a strategic point of the national territory that supports oil theft and insurgent groups which fight against the Syrian army and encourage a climate of hostility in the region. We go now to Iraq. In the capital, Baghdad, protesters took to the streets to show their discontent over the results of the legislative elections effected in October in the country. The protests, at a beginning stage, a pacific tone in front of the Ministry of Planning, took a shift violence after a few hours. And now we go live to Nicaragua.
Autoridades de la Junta Receptora me explicaron el proceso, todo lo que tenía que hacer, ¿verdad? Aunque hemos votado muchas veces, siempre es bueno que le expliquen a uno. Y ya deposité mi voto, pues, ejerciendo ese derecho ciudadano establecido en nuestra Constitución política de elegir a nuestras autoridades.
We have chosen our authorities.
Sufragio universal.
¿Siempre vota aquí?
Siempre aquí en la UNICAS me ha tocado.
I've always voted
Y
here.
aquí es muy tranquilo, aquí se...
This is a very peaceful place. Very quickly.
Rápido, sí.
Very quickly, yes.
¿Cómo ha visto el ambiente a nivel nacional? ¿Se ha informado?
Sí, claro, toda la gente está asistiendo a ejercer ese derecho.
Every people is going to vote
que te establece
to exercise the right to vote.
Los nicaragüenses tenemos el derecho de elegir a nuestras autoridades a través del sufragio universal, igual, directo y secreto.
Los que todavía no han ejercido este derecho al voto.
Eso que acabo de decir está establecido en nuestra Constitución, es un derecho ciudadano de elegir
This is a citizen's right to go to vote.
nacionales a través del sufragio universal, igual,
So they
directo y
exercise their say in their what they want for the country through the vote.
Siempre en Nicaragua usted sabe que estamos en los primeros lugares en la participación femenina.
In Nicaragua, there's
en
one
todo
of
lo que
the countries in the world where women go to vote in big numbers.
Estamos en el quinto lugar ahorita.
We're in the 5th place with the women participation in these
En la
elections,
Asamblea Nacional,
and also in the National Assembly.
un 67% de jueces y juezas.
We have a 67% of judges were women.
En el gobierno, como el 50, más del 50%.
More than 50%.
Viceministras y directoras generales.
Vice ministers and directors.
De manera que ya se sabe también que en la ley electoral se establece que debe ir un hombre y una mujer. Eso garantiza, son lo que se llaman las acciones positivas para permitir la igualdad en la participación de los géneros.
Eran las palabras de la magistrada presidente de la Corte Suprema de Justicia, doctora Alba Luz Ramos, que ya...
We were listening to Alba Luz Ramos, a magistrate of the Supreme Court of Justice in Nicaragua, who were referring to the system, the voting system, and also the tranquility, the calm during the voting day. Now we have come to the end of this news brief. But remember, you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also, if you feel so inclined, please join us on social media for all the latest news. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Telegram. For TeleSUR English, I'm your host, Gladys Quesada. Thank you for watching.